The BMW i7, the arch nemesis of the Mercedes-Benz EQS. And in this video, I'm going to not just give you a quick overview of what this car is, the features and the wonders inside the cabin, but also will compare it with the EQS and let you know as to which car suits whom. Let's get going with this quickly. And to start off, this car definitely is bigger than the EQS in every way you look at it. It's longer, it's taller, it's wider, it has a longer wheelbase, and boy, does it look bolder as well. Now, arguably, the EQS is sleeker, but you just cannot ignore this car. That big, bold BMW grille grabs attention wherever it goes. You may not like it, but of course, you cannot ignore it. A few details. The grille by itself glows in the night, so added attention. And these DRLs, Swarovski guys, and this glitters up in the night and makes it look bling bling. Headlight of course is intelligent, and unfortunately under the bonnet, unlike a lot of other electric cars, there is absolutely no space, so no frunk. Now coming towards the side, what you would instantly realize is that this is a proper 3-box sedan. And just look at the size of those windows. That's where it definitely has an advantage over the EQS, because there the windows are slimmer. There are a lot of other advantages as well. Of course, this is the M Sport version. Now, you can have this as a rear wheel drive or as a 4-wheel drive as well. This one is the eDrive 50. You can have it as the X-Drive as well, which has all 4 wheels. Now, all wheel steering comes as standard and the wheels turn by 3.5 degrees. So while for its size, it turns rather nicely, but still you really have to plan your parking maneuvers. It's got a long wheelbase, so you might be wondering whether this will scrape its underbelly when it goes over speed breakers. Well, this is 136 mm of ground clearance, and since it has air suspension, it can go up by 20 more mm, which means that while this will scrape its underbelly over the more vicious speed breakers, but for most of the speed breakers, there won't be any problems. And comparing it specifically with the Mercedes, this one is definitely a lot better. Gets 21 inches wheels, and now for the party trick up this car's sleeve. This comes with power doors, and while you can open it in a lot of ways, let me use this specific way. And as you can see, it's not opening now, but if I give it way, if there is absolutely no obstacle, it will open all the way. So it's smart if you're parking it next to a car where there's a chance of the door getting scratched. It senses it and will protect itself. Let's close it for now. Whoops. And not just that, the doors are also soft close. So if you don't close them properly, they'll close themselves. The roof is a panoramic fixed glass unit, so no ventilation, but this is illuminated. I'm going to show you everything, but for now just know that this is illuminated as well. Coming to the back of the car, it looks rather smart. It's bold just like it is at the front. It gets the i7 branding. I told you it's the eDrive 50, it's not the X-Drive. Very beautifully lit tail lamps, and the boot size here is 500 liters. Now that's a bit of a bummer, especially with the space saver spare. It's not a lot of space, and if you're going to be traveling long distance, if you're planning a week-long holiday, you travel heavy, I don't really think this is enough space, and you won't be able to take that spare wheel at all. So I personally believe that the boot space here should definitely have been more. It's more in the Mercedes where it's 600 liters plus. So that's one advantage that the Mercedes has. Of course, it gets level 2 ADAS, and you let us know what you think about the styling of this car, because it's quite polarizing. Some people really love it, some people don't. What's your take on it? Would you rather have this or the EQS? Do let us know in the comment section. Let's get inside and experience the wonders of this amazing car. Time now to get inside the car, but before that, let's have a look at the key as well. So here's the BMW logo, which is the lock button as well, and the other 3 buttons are here. So right now, as you can see, the car is locked, but as I approach it, it will detect my presence, welcome me, and then I just have to press this button, and the sensors, as I mentioned, will detect whether I am obstructing the swing open doors. If I'm not, they'll open. I can swing them further open, and then you'll be welcomed by one of the most opulent interiors you'll see in any car. Now, before we start talking about that, let's also know that you can either open the doors using this button here, or there's a mechanical button also which is hidden here, and using that button, the doors will not open mechanically. You can pull them open. Now, talking about the interior, as you can see, there are these glass crystals here, and the quality of materials, since this is the 7 series, electric 7 series, that is, everything is top notch, all soft to touch materials, and even the material here is soft to touch. This car comes with an 18 speaker Bowers and Wilkins system, sounds fantastic. Now you can open the doors from here as well. You also have a mechanical handle here, and then you also have an automatic door opener here, so you can open the door itself in so many different ways. Getting inside, you have this really beautifully done seats, but as you can already see, since the color is a light shade, they'll get dirty. So since you can pick and choose the colors, my suggestion would be to go for a darker shade so that you don't have these spots on the seats. Now these seats are not just beautiful to look at and perforated, they're also heated, cooled, and also have massage function. Let's get inside and see all the wonders of this car. Now, while all of these buttons are quite familiar, I'm not going to go into the details of all of these. This specific button, when you press this, brings on this menu, and you can bring up all the blinds, as you can see, with just the press of a button. Close all the blinds. You can close all the doors. So right now, the left door is open and now it just got shut. You can lock and unlock. You also have comfort access from here. You can configure your keys using this button. You can open the tailgate, and you can change the settings of the automated window also. So this button here brings all of those menus up in a flash. The steering wheel is fantastic. It's very beautifully laid out, and it's very intuitive as well. It's flat bottomed, looks beautiful, and has this M branding as well. This screen is 14.9 inches. This one is slightly smaller, but it looks beautiful. It's curved and slightly tilted towards the driver. Looks beautiful, very crisp. Although I really think that the typography and the animations and everything else on the Mercedes cars look slightly better than how they look here. Now in seat comfort, as I mentioned, you have seat position, you have massage, you have climate control where you have heating and cooling, and you also have comfort exit. All of these things are very nicely laid out, and you can also have a control over the front passenger, and you have some control over the back seats as well. What you just heard is one of the sounds that has been designed by none other than Hans Zimmer, and I'll let you know how it sounds. So in different modes, when you press the pedal, you get a very beautiful expression of what Hans Zimmer thinks an electric car should sound, at least from the inside. Now it also comes with ambient lighting, and as you can see, the lighting here is quite unlike anything else except for some of the BMW cars. We have seen a similar treatment on the 5 Series as well, and it looks rather spectacular. It doesn't get a million colors, there are very few choices, but whatever is there, it looks beautiful, and it's quite unlike anything else out there. The quality of materials is absolutely amazing here as well, and you have this bay here, which basically is the projector for the HUD. Now for the glove box also, you don't really have to push any buttons, just a press of this little capacitive touch button here and the glove box comes out. However, to fold it back, you have to do it manually. Also, the AC vents, as you can see, are invisible, they are hidden, so these vents cannot be seen and can be controlled by these little switches and buttons, which are also concealed. 2 cup holders and a whole bunch of controls here. So either you can go the touch way, or you can use these buttons here and the dial in the iDrive. All of these buttons are quite self-explanatory. You have the home button, navigation, telephone, media. The navigation system here is also augmented reality enabled, so it lets you know when you have to follow a turn. It overlays the map with the turn directions in the form of an arrow. You have the volume button here, seek buttons here. You can choose one of the many modes that you have. You have personal, sport, efficient, expressive, relaxed, theater, digital art, and silent modes. And you also have a direct button to increase the ride height by 20 mm. So it goes up from 136 mm to 156 mm, and it allows you to go over bad speed bumps also, which you probably won't be able to if the ride height has not been increased. So even on bad bumps, this car can really glide over. Then you have the 360-degree camera, which is of course very crisp, and it also allows you to view the car from various different angles, and all of this is fantastic. And not just that, this car can also record 200 meters of driving activities. So if you want to park the car in a congested area and the route is similar all the time, all that you have to do is say record new path, and recording is now active. Let me just drive. I'll go a short distance. So I have taken the car out, and let me just park it again. This is just for the demo purpose. This is not a very practical demonstration, but imagine if you are reversing every day and it's a long path, or driving through a congested lane every day. You don't really have to do it every single time. You just have to record that path and start from a set point and save the recording. And I'm saving the recording as the recorded path 1. Now if I want to play that path again, so it's just following the recorded path. And if you know that you have to maneuver your car in a certain manner from a certain point, you can just record that path and the car will remember a route of up to 200 meters. Now apart from that, you also have the regular auto hold, electronic parking brake, reverse, neutral and drive modes, and start stop button here. And then you also have this cavernous storage space with a 12-volt power socket and 2 Type-C USB sockets as well. Your wireless charging sits here. And the seat comfort is something that you only have to experience. It gets heated seats, ventilated seats, it gets a whole bunch of massage functions as well. And apart from that, you get this beautiful panoramic sunroof as well. And to open it, you just have to press this button. And it's a one-touch operation. And those streaks that you see here are lit in a fashion that you have seen on the BE6E Mahindras as well. So this is a very beautiful panoramic fixed glass sunroof. Illuminated vanity mirrors on both sides, auto dimming IRVM, and you also have this one touch button here. Just check there. As I press this button, the lighting menu comes up and it makes it so very easy. And that's still not all. You also have this button here, and you press this and this gigantic 39-inch screen comes in place. All the blinds come in place so that your viewing experience is fantastic. And I'll talk more about this screen in a bit, but all of those controls are right here. That's opulence in its true terms. And honestly speaking, sitting here, you feel that you're sitting in a car which is slightly more opulent, has more features than the Mercedes EQS. But this is not the seat where the people who buy this car are going to be sitting anyway. The seat for them is behind the front passenger. Let's go there and see how much comfort, space and amenities we have there. But before we get out and get in the back seat, let me show you another magic trick. Now since I'll be entering from the rear left seat, let me open it before I get off the car. Hey BMW, open the rear left door.
Should I open the rear left door?
Yes.
Got it.
And the rear left door is open, ready for me to enter. Let me just do that. Now as I enter the car, the seats are slightly lower set than ideal. And as you can see, my screen is right here in place. I can choose the language. This is touch screen enabled. And you can connect Fire TV, or you can connect any media through an HDMI port here and just look at the resolution on this. Now obviously the content that you see on YouTube or any other platform is not going to be so wide, but you can zoom in and the middle part is where your content will be played. Now the one thing that I can tell you very positively is that this seat here feels more comfortable than the one on the EQS. These are plusher seats, they recline more, and not just that, I can also make the front passenger seat go forward and tilt. And in fact, let me just do that. But before I do that, let me just show you this 5.5-inch touchscreen as well, which controls the seat and a lot of other functions as well. By the way, the blinds that you see here as well as at the rear are not available on the Mercedes EQS. This car also comes with massage functions and heated and ventilated seats at the rear, and all of these features are a plus on this car and are not available on the Mercedes EQS. Now you can just see for yourself how high res this screen is, and I'll just go to home and from here I can control the Fire TV, telephony, the display. I can also choose from one of the 5 modes that are available here. So I can choose from theater, relax, expressive, digital art and personal modes. In fact, there's a 6th mode as well, which is silent. So the personal mode is active right now. I can go to seats and I can adjust the seats for recline function. And as you can see, just with the press of a button, the boss mode is on now, and the front seat will not just tilt forward, but it will also slide forward, and it will open a flap for me to relax in supreme comfort. Now this is the most extended position of this seat, and as you can see, there is proper support not just for my thighs but for my calves as well. And this part of the seat folds down, and this is way more comfortable than how comfortable you'll get in the EQS. So purely from a comfort and luxury perspective, this again is a big plus that this car has. The Mercedes-Benz EQS also does not have the massage function that this car gets. Now I can also bring on the climate menu, and I can heat or cool the seats as per my liking, and of course I can control the temperature as well. And going back to home, I can also control the blinds as well as the light in the back seat. So it's one of the most advanced systems that you'd find on any such cars. And not just that, the speakers on this car are also embedded in the headrests, so they give you a beautiful experience as you play your favorite music. Now, as I mentioned, for input, you can either use Fire TV or HDMI. You can control the display, the ratios, etc., the position of the viewing screen, and the brightness as well. Then you can connect Bluetooth for audio, and you can configure your audio as well. So that's about the screen, guys, and you also get a 4-zone climate control, wireless charging here, a beautiful wide armrest, and some space underneath it along with 2 USB-C sockets. These pillow cushions are fantastic and they add tremendously to the comfort factor. I can just go to sleep right now. It's one of the most comfortable seats that I've ever sat in, and I've sat in the Mercedes-Benz S-Class, the Audi A8L, the BMW 7 Series as well. This has to be one of the most comfortable and luxurious seats that you'll find anywhere in this class of cars. Now, just to let you know, the controls that you have for the passenger on the left-hand side, you have the same controls on the right-hand side as well. And just like the front, you have the electric button as well as the mechanical lever to open the doors. So as you can see, we have reset the seats now, and it's time to get behind the steering wheel and let you know what this beautiful big limo feels like to drive. Now, before I get out, a couple of things about this screen. Now, it's fantastic, but it does block the view for the IRVM for the driver, and that can be a bit of a bummer. I think having an electronic camera in the form of a projection for the IRVM would have solved this problem. Also, this screen can be moved either back or forth based on how far or close you want the content to be. It can also be tilted to your choice, and finally it can be folded up. Show is over. Time to get behind the steering wheel. Right off the bat, while the ride quality is absolutely fantastic, and this car insulates you from everything around you like nobody's business. I cannot hear anything at all, and it's a very, very noisy street, mind you. However, it is quite the behemoth, and to maneuver it through streets, and especially with so many rickshaws around you, can be a bit of a problem. So you have to practice caution while you're driving on the streets of Mumbai. It is quite a big car, and while the way it drives belies its size, it has its size. So you have to be careful. The ride quality is absolutely fantastic, and it simply wafts over bad surfaces. It just takes everything in its stride like it's gliding on clouds. So the ride quality is one of its highlights, and that's thanks to the air suspension that this car comes with. But should you wish to firm things up, you should just go to My Modes and switch to Sport, and things will tighten up. And in the end, this is a BMW, and it should feel like one. Does it? We'll soon be on the highway and we'll get to know. Just look at the kind of traffic that we have on our streets, and to drive this car in such congested traffic can raise your blood pressure. So you have to be extremely careful while driving this car. The size is really huge. The good part is that it doesn't scrape its belly while you're driving over speed breakers. Unless the speed breaker is really vicious, you don't really have to worry about. And even if you come across one, you simply have to press this one button and the air suspension raises itself and provides you relief. Now you also have this boost button here, and as soon as we get on the expressway, we're going to use it, and I'm going to let you know how it works. Now this car is about 2.5 tons heavy, and to propel that kind of weight you need suitable power, and it does get almost supercar like power. Of course, if it was a two-door car, it would have just flown, but fly it does with its 544 HP of power, you heard it right, and 745 Newton meters of torque. That power and torque can propel this car from 0 to 100 in a lightning quick 4.5 seconds. It does launch itself really fast. It really belies its size and weight. And while the horsepower on this car is more than the EQS has slightly more torque. But if you look at the performance figures of both the cars, they are more or less the same. Both the cars do their 0 to 100 in about 4.5 seconds, and they reach their 0 to 160 kilometers per hour in a shade less than 10 seconds. So in terms of performance, both the cars are the same, but the big difference according to me is the insulation, which feels slightly better on this car. Also, this is a little bit more practical car to drive, and you don't really have to bother about the bad roads as much as you have to on the EQS. Now in terms of range, the BMW i7 will give you a WLTP range of 625 kilometers on the highway, which translates to about 500 kilometers or thereabouts in the real world. In comparison, the Mercedes gives you a WLTP range of 677 kilometers, which translates to a real world highway range of 540. There is a bit of difference between the range of the two cars, but the i7 also is sufficient, and I think 500 kilometers of real world range is more than sufficient to save you from range anxiety. This car can be charged with as high as 195 kilowatt charger, and with that power it can be charged real quick. But with a 22 kilowatt charger, this will take about 5 hours for fueling up fully. The battery pack here is 101.7 kilowatt hour, and the one on the EQS is slightly higher by about 6 kilowatt hour. That's not much of a difference, but difference it is, and it definitely reflects in the slightly better range that the Mercedes has. Alright guys, I've put it in the sport mode, and the acceleration is simply gut-wrenching. This car has no business going like that. It goes like this thing, and the steering is beautifully weighted. And when you make a transition from, say, a personal or efficient mode to the sport mode, you can really see this car transforming itself, and it does go really fast. The steering weight is nice, and while it's never going to be a sports car, but around a set of bends, an able driver will not be disappointed. Let me just put it that way. And in a straight line, if you really want to have some more fun, like I mentioned, you can press this boost button and you'll get 10 seconds of max power. The motors will be draining the battery at the fastest rate possible, and you'll be launched towards the horizon at the fastest rate possible. So it is indeed, despite being a limousine, a BMW after all. And driving it can be tons and tons of fun. I sat in the back seat also for a wee bit, and the comfort there is also fantastic, and the ride quality as you move into the sport mode becomes slightly firm. It becomes a lot more sporty, but when you're in other modes, it's really comfortable, and that back seat there is one of the most comfortable that you will ever come across. So for a limousine which is 2.5 ton, what I want to tell you is that this car can really drive. In terms of region modes, you don't really have any pedals here to control the region, but you can go into the menus, and there you have controls to have the region as strong or not too strong. Also, you have an adaptive mode which checks your driving style and the kind of environment that you're in, and it does a fantastic job of auto adapting the region for you. Well, to sum it up, with a 500 kilometer range on the highway, and this kind of performance, this car really does not leave anything to be desired. For a limousine this heavy, it drives beautifully, it rides fantastically, it's comfortable, it's beautifully insulated, and it really does establish that electric cars can be a totally different experience altogether, and they can bring a big wide smile on your face. Now before I get to conclusion, I think I'll do well to give you a listen to what Hans Zimmer has in store for you, and a couple of modes and how the car sounds when you give it the beans in those modes. So let's start with the mode that everybody wants to be in. That's the sport mode. And when I push the pedal to the metal, this is the sound you'll get. Let's do that again. Alright, time now to change the mode. And let's go to expressive. And pay attention, the sound here will be different. It's like an opera. You cannot expect any less from Hans Zimmer. It's not the sound of an engine. That's his rendition, his version of what an electric car should sound like. It's very theatrical. Then let's talk about the relax mode. And as you can see, if you change the mode, different things happen. Like, some blinds come on. Like, I can feel in the expressive mode, I can feel the massage function happening. So every mode has a lot of functions associated with it. And as you can see, the sound here in this mode is not very expressive. Let's go to theater mode, and it's almost like you're in a theater. As you can see, the screen has also come down in the theater mode. Let's see how the car sounds. Oh, by the way, my rear view has completely been blocked, and there is no auditory note to this mode, by the way. For digital art, this is the sound. Not very loud, but differentiated for sure. And this is the personal mode. So guys, that's all the sounds that Hans Zimmer has designed for this car, and they do add a ton of character to this beauty. And boy, am I impressed. It's one of the most impressive cars I have ever driven, and kudos to BMW for creating this beauty. Well, in my estimation, the BMW i7 is a better car as compared to the EQS. Every way you look at it, except probably for the looks of it, which may appeal to people who want it bold, but not to those who want it a little bit more svelte, a little bit more elegant. But that's not the point here. The point here is the price. Now, this car retails at 1.95 crore rupees ex-showroom, which is about 36 lakh rupees more than the EQS. And that's a lot of price to pay. But having said that, this car also offers a lot more in terms of features, in terms of amenities. It drives better, it has a better backseat, and some of the features that this car has are, I think, very essential to a limousine and are absent on the EQS. So if you want the better car of the two, I can easily recommend the i7 over the EQS. But if you're looking to save a very hefty 36 lakh rupees, which would translate to about 50 lakh rupees if you add the taxes as well as the insurance to it, then the EQS is a better value proposition. I really hope that I was able to answer all your questions about this car vis-a-vis the EQS in this detailed video. Still, if you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. And if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe to Motoroids, and until next time, this is your friend Amit Chakani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and drive safe.